What's up everybody, trueeevil here, and today I want to talk about the hottest topic in Etheria Restart currently, which is, of course, should Rengo get a nerf? Now, this is a hot topic for a number of reasons. One, because a lot of people said it needed a nerf a long time ago, and when they did those original Inferno nerfs, they nerfed Nico Nana and they nerfed Shadowflame Hoyon. I don't think they nerfed Sharon. I think Sharon is the easiest of all of the shell bosses, so that's neither here or there for that. But Rengo was an important one at that stage of the game because if you did PvP during Season 0, you would have seen that Revelation was an extremely prevalent shell, and the counter to that was going to be Lighthouse. And the unfortunate reality is that Shadowflame Hoyon took less than a minute to clear with a dot team, and then Rengo, well, if you had a 100% clear auto team, most of the people that were doing that, it took between 4 and 7 minutes a run to get that 100%, which, you know, is definitely not ideal and takes significantly longer. So it did feel like a full-time job if you were trying to max stamina refresh on that. Personally, for me, I was fine only doing a couple of runs. I knew I would be like away from my computer or my phone for a while, so you know, I would just let it run. Wasn't really farming it too much. And what ended up happening because of the difficulty in farming those shells, well, now we're at a point where that first balance patch, it got pushed up. Originally Season 0 was going to be much longer, but they pushed up Season 1, and during that balance patch, a lot of the things that happened in those patch notes, I do think, you know, I don't think the game would have been balanced that way if people were able to just farm lighthouses. But now we're at the stage we're at now, which is Season 1, we're in the middle of it, and do I think Rengo still needs a nerf? And let's go over to some Rengo gameplay where I'm going to be showing some 100% clears while I talk about my true feelings on this subject. So, does Rengo need a nerf? Well, all the feedback that we've said that it does need a nerf has been answered by the devs, and the way they answered it was with two new characters. We're going to be getting Batsby and Ninfoniel. Batsby is going to be a DPS, and Ninfoniel is going to be a shielder healer type character that gives attack up. And Ryan Bloom, I believe, is what her unique buff is going to be called, and there are some people who are complaining about this for a couple of things, calling it tone deaf, which is the first one. They're saying that, well, we just had the Wishbinder event, which you had to use a lot of pulls to get a lot of resources. If you went to the max, it took 300 pulls, and they're complaining that, well, we're now out of pulls, and you're going to be giving us an answer to things by making us pull even more. And honestly, I think it's perfectly fine for this game to do that because, well, pulls are the most generous thing that this game does. In 3 weeks, you will definitely be able to get 80 pulls, and I do believe that Ember Trek will reset during that. So you'll most likely be able to pull both characters. I personally think you should pull Ninfoniel because she'll be the best way to win at this video game very soon, and you best believe I'm going to be making a bazillion videos about her. But that's not what this is about. I think it's perfectly fine to answer this with heroes. And the other part of that, which people are saying is tone deaf, is the biggest thing that people are complaining about in terms of feedback, which is, well, there's not enough golden lattices to build characters. And I wholeheartedly agree. Even if you're a free-to-play player, Lightspender, Whale, everyone has the same feedback, which is there's not enough golden lattices. And, you know, that is a kind of big problem when you present that the answer to something that is really roadblocking people from doing PvP. And, you know, you're probably going to need lattices on these characters, right? But there is no lattices. And, well, I do think this would be a problem if you're going to use Batsby as a DPS because every DPS in this game pretty much needs to be latticed, and Ninfoniel, time will tell. Sometimes there's a character like Ling Luo where you just need to max out her skill 1, Fushu where you just need to max out her skill 3. Really just depends on the type of support character, so I'm really glad that they gave a support option as the character to clear this, and I do think she'll be really strong for this. but it will require some lattices. And people are saying that you should be able to beat this farming stage with unlatticed characters, and I don't agree with that because, well, this is technically the hardest like farm stage in the game, so of course it should have some difficulty. If someone told me that they were struggling in a Souls game and they showed me their weapon and it wasn't upgraded at all, I would be like, yeah, that's a big problem. If you're not like a god gamer, then that's going to make it really difficult. You're playing the game much harder than it's supposed to be. And in terms of this is like the end game boss, right? You need to have like leveled up characters to be able to do this. So I don't agree with that sentiment. I think it's perfectly fine if they do need lattices to be able to clear Rengo. So basically, I don't think Rengo needs a nerf. I don't think Rengo needs a nerf at all. And that's for a multiple of reasons. When I'm looking at people complaining about the difficulty of this, I'm also seeing these people complain that they didn't manage their lattices correctly. And those same people also say they don't want a reset event. And that is neither here nor there. That's not what this video is about. But this game is a resource management game. So if you didn't manage your resources correctly, it's completely understandable that you're not able to beat the in-game content. And what I would say to that is, well, you didn't play the resource management game correctly. You mismanaged your resources and you're paying the consequences for that. The game should not become a easier shell of what it is just because you didn't play optimally. I don't expect to be the best player at Mario Kart when I'm not really analyzing my races and going for optimal times and I'm just going for fun. I know that my elo is going to stay at about 8,000 in Mario Kart, and that's just how it is, right? And I think that's the same thing with Etheria Restart. If I put like 3 lattices into Born and 2 lattices in the Veronica and whatnot, of course, when I get here, it's going to be difficult. And that's perfectly all right. So what I am saying is that, you should probably lattice your characters to clear PvE content. That's pretty much a given. And you should use correct things such as Bloodbath to make sure that Rengo doesn't hit too hard. That's really what you need to be doing. And I just don't understand why people think this boss is difficult when he's probably the easiest of the shell boss. I think the only shell boss that is easier than Rengo is Sharon, but Rengo is definitely the second easiest in my opinion. Now, are you clearing it in 30 seconds like Shadowflame Hoyon? No, but it is what it is. It's totally fine, and I don't think Lighthouse is a real requirement for Season 1. So definitely don't need to like super farm him right now. I mean, most people I know are farming Shadowflame Hoyon, so I don't understand why this is such a big deal right now. And more importantly, I'm seeing a lot of self-reporting when people are complaining about this, calling him an Elden Ring difficulty boss. Elden Ring is like the easiest Souls game. The only Souls game that I can think of off the top of my head that is easier than Elden Ring is AI Limit. And Elden Ring is just, it's very regarded in the Souls community as very easy. The only way it's difficult is if you purposely make it difficult, right? It's like, I will only play this game in a specific way. That's what makes it difficult. And that's also what makes Etheria Restart difficult. Here, I am showing you, and I made a video over a month ago on how to get a 100% clear rate on this. If you use Rahu, hold in 2 healers with a Sonya to revive in case if the damage taking stacks become too much and knock out a DPS, Sonya can revive them, the evil fire is gone, voila, 100% win rate, and make sure you put Bloodbath on your characters. I don't have it on my Rahu, don't need it on the Rahu because his chest is just so big that he doesn't need it. So, if you're getting one-shotted on this boss and complaining about it, the resources are there. Bloodbath is a farmable thing that isn't on Rengo that will make sure that you are able to farm it. Just because you're not using optimal ways to clear it doesn't mean that it should be nerfed. And honestly, I just think you just need to come up with a little bit of a better plan, right? When I think of things, insanity is by definition doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And the best part of Etheria Restart is the experimentation you can do. So, in terms of that, I think, if you try something with like deting maybe 3 times and it fails, maybe deting's not an answer. Honestly, I think deting is a very bad DPS in this game, and I think Fangus is a lot better, especially with this Golden Lion buff. So, maybe try Fangus on this boss. Even though he can't be dotted, he can be DPS down by Fangus, and best believe that Fangus does a whole lot of damage. So, experiment. That makes it really fun. I don't think this game should be nerfed just because people can't clear it. I don't think Etheria Restart should hand out participation trophies. It's an amazing game. I really love it. And even though, there are things that could be fixed, I don't think Rengo being nerfed is going to fix any of those things, right? So in that regard, I think people just need to just manage your resources better. It is a resource management game, so, I'm not going to say get good, but, it is what it is. There's a whole lot of guides on how to 100% clear this. They're very easily accessible on YouTube. You don't have to watch mine. You can watch a whole others. I think Sumul has a bunch. I think Barcode has some free-to-play ones. Find the guides that work for you. I think Shambi also has some guides. There is definitely the resources out there. Just look for it, experiment, and be okay with latticing your DPS units, because that doesn't make sense to me. You're complaining about a character not being able to do enough damage, but you're not going to put resources into them. Yeah, I don't really get that. So yeah, I am really glad that Etheria Restart's not handing out participation trophies and is staying with its commitment to be an amazing game. And I love Etheria Restart, and I just wanted to let you all know how I really feel on this subject. So that's about it. Hope you guys have a great day.